All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Locker Room Sports Talk. Glad you guys and gals decided to make me a part of your day here. We got a lot of big games coming up this weekend. College football. This new landscape mode or something. I'm not. This has just started, so I have no idea what's going on. And you had to pick it. Like you had to pick what mode you wanted to be in. So it wouldn't let me not pick because it looks kind of dumb. So, I wonder what the point is there doing that. So, anyway, see if we can get anybody on here. There's some other people coming in. See what's up. What's going on there, son? Hope you're doing all right and having a great day. Let's college football. It's Locker Room Sports Talk, babe. Let's get in there and break down some of the games that we have for the weekend, and just kind of get your picks and try to figure out what we have going on here, and I'll type it in this way. Do it that way. How about that? All right. I guess for the weekend we can start off with there's a little bit of ACC action going on. Clemson and Louisville. Look, I guess, basically the big idea there is probably that Louisville decided to, blow their game this past weekend. But it's pretty, put them in a bad spot. They lost to Cal. I mean, Cal's won what have they won? Like 4 games? So that puts them in a bad spot. Basically, what it does now, Louisville's going to be 4-2, and that's going to leave them in that middle spot here to where SMU 5-1, Pitt 5-1, Virginia's 5-1 now too. But Louisville's already lost to Virginia, so ACC battles, it's 30-27. Virginia beat Louisville back earlier in the year, so it's put the ACC's in real. I mean, Georgia Tech is, it is what it is. They are where they are. You ain't got to worry about them losing out on one of their spots. So let's see here. Continuing on from ACC, moving on down the road. We're ACC football here. We cover Alabama, Auburn, and Georgia mostly, but I had to mention that game because it's going to make a difference in how these teams show up and play when it's conference, championship time for them. I had a question, could me and Dean broke it down on Sunday, talking about Wisconsin a little bit and Indiana. So is there any chance? I mean, I guess there's always a chance for, let me try to refresh this. Hang on. Okay. Hang on. It's just camera skipping. Can Wisconsin beat Indiana? I mean, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. So, I mean, yeah, sure. There's a possibility of that going. They could. Wisconsin's, kind of. Hey, what's up, Carson? It's kind of like, what's up, Jeff? It's kind of like we was talking about Wisconsin. Do you think Wisconsin has a chance to beat Indiana, Jeff? And this is his conference, the Big Ten. He's an Ohio State guy. He lives down here in SEC country, but I guess there's a shot. But I would extremely highly doubt Wisconsin to beat Indiana. Now, also in the same time frame, 11 o'clock, Texas A&M and South Carolina. There's been so much talk. Yeah, I know we're going to talk about Coach Kelly at LSU. It looks like, hang on. Yes, it looks like Coach Kelly at LSU, guys. Y'all seen the news? Looks like they're going to be suing LSU. Wow. He has a large buyout. You can read in the paper stuff. Yeah, somebody mentioned that in the comments, and he's going to be owed a lot of money. He is going to be owed a whole bunch of money. But LSU is saying that they didn't fire him because now I guess they're trying to find cause. We're talking about LSU's Coach Kelly. I mean, could there be a lawsuit or something coming up, on the horizon? Or I don't know. I would assume they'll probably settle this, and LSU's Coach Kelly will probably buy out on the market for $37.5 million. Because if this goes to court, if this really goes to court, I mean, you're going to, start talking about emails and things to be disclosed, for what happened. Coach Kelly sent some emails. Let's see. I seen some breaking news, Ohio State, so I got to hit it. Got to check it. Okay, the ranking stuff. Yep. We'll go through it tonight, too, because it's going to be on a little bit. Bird's been coming on. Me and him jump on together, break that down Tuesday, too. So, yeah, I would think that Coach Kelly and Bunch at LSU, ex-LSU coach, Coach Brian Kelly, would try to avoid all cost at going to court because, I mean, any kind of personal stuff or, like his school email address to be out there, I guess, and, stuff he sent to the AD or, comments and stuff they had among, for each other along the way. You don't really want that to be out there, do you? I wouldn't think so. Make sure you go ahead and hit the thumbs up when you're over there on the old Facebook page, or if you're on YouTube, also hit the thumbs up over there. Highly appreciate it. And I have no idea on this camera, dude. It is just really jumping tonight. No idea. So, good Lord, man. Let me try to refresh again. Hang on, okay? Hang on. What happens? Okay. Just keeps jumping. The camera is still doing it. I don't know. I might have to completely shut the stream off. Just kill it and start a whole nother one or something. I don't. Usually refreshing it helps. All right, now South Carolina, Texas A&M. South Carolina's 3-6. They've packed it in for the year. They're done. And so, what do you expect from them? Coming out of the weekend. I don't know if Coach Beamer has trying to take care of the team, trying to take care of the team and stuff. But he fired Shula, offensive coach, and he fired his offensive line coach a week or two ago. Promoted his tight end coach to start coaching offensive line. And right now, 18.5-point favors Texas A&M over South Carolina. And look, I've watched Lenore Sellers, QB, South Carolina. I like him. I think he's a good quarterback. Don't throw the ball great. He threw for 1,500 yards, already for college. So, who am I to tell him he's not a good quarterback? Now, they hadn't been able to really take care of running the football, and it's put them – they're now, next to last down the bottom with Auburn and Arkansas right now in the conference. I think there may be just 11 o'clock. It's on ESPN. I would take A&M to win the game, yes, but I don't know, man. South Carolina's just really struggling to get it together. So, sure, yeah, you got to take Texas A&M to win the game. Somebody said A&M wins. Yes. I would agree with that. Heard a rumor that Sellers will be transferred to the U, or I don't know. I hadn't heard that, Jeff. Good looking out, though, if that's something going on out there. It seems Beamer's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to win games, and he seems like he knows what the problem is. Seems like we knew they was going to have offensive line trouble. Back during the summer, we broke this team down, and my God, man, South Carolina had to freaking move a receiver to tailback. I was going through breaking them down this summer, so it's not going to be great when a team's having to move one of their receivers to play tailback. That's no good at all. Let me check on this right here. So does anybody else think that South Carolina has any kind of chance, or, is there any kind of possibility, or is it all just going to kind of be the same and we're just going to figure it out on our own as the game comes on and we'll watch it? And I don't know. Yeah, I know they're looking pretty hot right now at poor Beamer. It seemed like he's found the trouble, though. When you fire your offensive line coach and your offensive coordinator, it seems that he's trying to – it seems like he's trying to do the right thing is what I'm saying. It seems like he says, okay, there's the problem. I see the problem. I'm going to address the problem. And still nothing's really happened about it. We have one more good game at 11 o'clock bracket. It's going to be on ABC, 11 o'clock. Notre Dame is going to be traveling to Pitt. Well, Pitt had a good quarterback over there, and we talked about them Sunday for just a little bit. So overall, offensively, let's break this down for a little bit, and then we're going to go like one or two more. Then we're going to talk about Bama and Oklahoma. That's the real reason everybody's here to watch. Pittsburgh offense, they're not running the ball, which now I mentioned Bama, they're not either. So 124 yards per game in rushing, but Pitt seems to be able to score the ball. Pitt seems to be able to score the ball. I mean, they're sixth in the nation in scoring. Overall offense, they're top 30. And yes, they are 7-2, the same as Notre Dame. Now, Pitt's defense is kind of middle road also. They're probably not one of the top scoring defenses, but they don't do, too bad against the run, guys. They're giving up about 80 yards a game. Is this a trap game for Notre Dame? It shouldn't be, because surely that the coaches have prepared them to know this, to play this way, to know that Pitt's top 25 in scoring, and Pitt's top 5 in run defense. So usually if you can be top 25 overall defense, top 3 or 4 or 5 in rushing defense, you can score the ball and you can stop the run. There is a possibility. So the thing is, I guess Notre Dame is 24th FBS in third down percentage, which is not real bad. So that means they're protecting on the ball. They're 5-1 in the conference, but 7-2 overall. But this is, of course, a non-conference win for them. But this would put them at 8-2, and these outside games, matter outside the conference, because it gives Pitt the opportunity to beat a ranked team, because it kind of gives them some good fuel to go in there and have an opportunity to move in the rankings. I mean, they're already 22nd. Notre Dame's 9. Notre Dame's done. If they lose this game to Pitt, this is an important game for them because of that reason. They are 9. They're 7-2. Oof. Guys, and the media mostly loves Notre Dame. It's just the way it is. It's always been that way. And the committee's going to put them up. They're going to prop them up very high. All they got to do is have their 12, game schedule or whatever. Schedule 2 tough teams. Lose those 2 games. Win their other, 10. And just take the little poo-poo schedule and go on their merry way and make it the playoffs every year. I wish it was that easy for everybody else. While you got Bama playing 4 ranked teams in a row, some of them on the road. And you still get overlooked, and you got people talking about Indiana. How great Indiana is, and their quarterback having a Heisman moment against a 3-win Penn State team. Well, Matt, Penn State was come in preseason. I don't care what they was preseason. Indiana wasn't preseason too. So you can't compare that. You're comparing apples and oranges. You can't – these people that keep going here and saying, Indiana makes a huge statement win over Penn State. Oh, how? He made his Heisman case. How? How did he make a case for the Heisman by beating a 3-win team? That he had to drive down the field, and he have one of his receivers supposedly make one of the, nice little toe taps of the day. You got to be in the now. Like, where is the team now? This team lost their coach. They don't even have a head coach now, so we can't say, well, they was ranked number 2. Well, so what? You got to look at what's going on at the current moment. Penn State's not a very good, great team. And if you're that good and you're him and, Indiana, and he's supposed to be, that guy, you're going to get, Wisconsin this weekend. I was trying to say, man, they're favored by 29.5. So Mendoza, if you're the Heisman guy and this is, it's your award to lose, it probably wouldn't surprise me, because that's just the type of foolery, type of stupid crap that kind of goes on in this Heisman, Heisman finalist list. Because what's supposed to be the purpose of us picking a Heisman Award winner? It's supposed to be for the the best player overall in the whole nation. I don't think him having a 4-play 70-yard drive against a 3-win team hails that. What about the minute 40 drive, against a Tennessee team, a ranked opponent that actually went to the playoffs, last year, and is considered to be a good team right now. Well, yeah, man, Penn State went to the playoffs last year. That's last year. So if you're going to do last year for everybody, then do it for everybody. Yes. Penn State did. So did Tennessee. Tennessee got beat bad in playoffs last year. Yeah, didn't show up. But I'm saying that's why you can't really do it that way. Let's just do now. Like this season, what's going on this week? I think the old boy throws a good football. That's what they say. He can spin it. He come from a system that, how they throw the ball. But he don't have, who is he really, having to throw the ball against now? Talking about Mendoza at Indiana. I think I looked it up a few weeks ago. His, let's see, Oregon, Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland, Penn State. And the best, who's the best defense that he's seen anytime along the way? You got to wonder, how did he get out of Miami? Well, he's out there for 2 years. I thought it was just a year, but he was there for 2 years. And obviously they didn't need him. I mean, Cal, makes a big upset and beat Virginia this weekend too. So he's from Miami, went and played at Cal 2 years, now he's at Indiana. Well, we'll just leave it at this, and then we'll move on to the game of the hour here. Question: where would Indiana be worse off? Would Indiana be worse off if Ty Simpson was quarterback there? would the game have been close? If Ty's QB in Indiana, would the game have been close to where he would have had to make a drive like that against, a bad team? Yeah, I know. And Alabama does have a loss. They lost the first game of the year to a bad Florida State team. You're right. Indiana got lucky. Well, Jeff, luck wins championships. At some point in the year, you've got to be lucky. At some part, as you're playing all through this season, something weird has to happen along the way, and you just have to be lucky and win a good game here or there. Ben says that Cherokee County Asa and Ben Mosley, it's hard to play Alabama All-Star North-South. Yep, I heard that today. That's awesome, man. They're I've known Ben a little bit longer, I guess, and his dad and stuff I know is from out there. Proud for Asa and them. And hey, Asa, he put in the work. He come in a young guy on that team, got in a bad spot, didn't know if he was going to play. And just to say, you know what? If this is what it's going to take, I'm going to do that. That's what he did. Shout out to the young man for being able to do that. Jeff said he sent an email to UWG, was at West Georgia High School. Joel told her to contact Keyshawn, let him know the coach doesn't contact him. Keyshawn. Okay. That's very cool of you, Jeff. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that. Yeah, he's just wanting to play somewhere. Yeah. He's talking about Ohio State beating Tennessee last year, Squirrel White. Yeah, and a good quarterback. I guess a food quarterback probably wouldn't be bad. But yes, I know, Jeff. I'm just joking with you. Yeah, to have a good quarterback. And before we get into that, we can hit that. That could be a where is that at? That's a good idea, Jeff. How about this? The old round table topic. That camera is just really giving me a hard time tonight, guys. I'm sorry if it's blinking on and off. It just giving me a hard time. All right, yo, round table topic. Welcome in, guys, here to Locker Room Sports Talk, your 3-day-a-week college football sports talk show. We're on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 6 o'clock. Today's Tuesday. Big Talk Tuesday is what we like to call it. So the old round table topic for tonight is, does Alabama, are they really going to have to seal in a run game to really be considered for a national champion? Wow. This thing is a piece of junk. The earphones are sputtering. It's not even any music playing at all. And then the camera's just absolutely just turning on and off. So let's try that again. Bama not having a running game, is it going to catch up with them? So round table topic is, Jeff brought the question up. I'll throw it back up on the screen. It's not food and a food quarterback, which is not a bad idea, I guess. You have a good food quarterback to take care of your big houses, take care of them. Hang on. I have no idea what's going on, guys. Sorry. So to get into the championship game, had this question, roundtable topic, was you got to have a good running game, a great defense, and a good quarterback. So does Alabama have any of those things? CF says Bama's definitely going to need to run the game to be able to play against a better defense, especially Matt Patricia's NFL-style defense. I've watched Alabama's run game, studied it, went over it, talked to some people about it, that do it for a living. That's what they do is, study film and have broken film down with major college coaches. They know way more about it than anybody else that I really know, especially the hot dog flippers that like to get on here and say, I don't know what I'm talking about. Or, if you weren't an all-state football player, you can't have a sports talk show, that makes about as much sense as them, critiquing me, telling me what I can't do, because if you didn't play a lot, then obviously you can't be a good coach either. So I guess Nick Saban was the best player to ever play the game. He's not, but he's really a good player. So in my study and research and question asking and watching and listening, no, it's going to be very tough for Alabama to be a championship caliber team if they cannot figure out a way to run the ball. And this weekend in play in Oklahoma is probably, to me, they're probably top 3 defense. Maybe, they're right up there with Ohio State on defense. Their arrangement of their linemen to their linebackers and that type of stuff, and how even Venables uses his safeties to play, one shallow, 2 deep, 2 shallow. He changes the zone coverage places of the corners where they'll cover more of a flat area. Those little flat plays that Alabama likes to throw to, like throwing the tailbacks out of the backfield, or bringing the guy in motion and faking that and throwing back across the other side of the field. I think that play will probably get picked this weekend. What not running the ball allows is it allows the defensive front to just kind of just blitz you all night long. Basically, that's kind of what it does. It just really just allows the defense to just pin their ears back and come after you. Basically, that's what it is. And without that, oh my goodness, what is going on here? I'm trying to figure out how to even like the video. Oh, this totally changed the whole. Okay, I was looking at the YouTube thing. Anyway, sorry. It allows the defense just to pin their ears back and just get after you. And with Bama averaging, being one of the worst teams in the country running the football, guys, I think they're like, 100 or 105th or something. It's not good at all. So some people may want to ask why. Why can they not run the ball? And that would lead me to this. What I started with when we started to break this down was roundtable topic. Are you going to have to be able to run the ball to win a championship? And the answer is yes. Now, more depth-wise into that, why can't they? That's where we talk about where I brought up the film study people and the people I've talked to that do this for a living. I don't break down film and coach college football for a living, but these people I've talked to do. And they've seemed to understand it as I'm trying not to be too technical. Some people may not know or may not care about the details of it. Basically, how Grubb and DeBoer want to run the football is not fitting of the personnel they have to run the ball. Somewhat. That kind of sounds stupid because you'd say, well, just what I would do then is run the ball how it would work for the players that you have, right? I mean, that makes the most sense. Like, run the ball in the way of how it's most effective for the players that you have there on the team. But now, in more detailed, what that's saying is how he likes to run the ball is, wow, what in the world is going on here? Sorry, guys. Okay. So for how Alabama likes to run the ball, and I mean DeBoer because he's the head coach there. Because you go back to Washington and watch how they play, their offensive linemen like to do what these film people call pin and pull. So guards or tackles can pin, and they'll pivot to block out and block these guys, on other sides and how things work. And then you have a lot of guards pulling and working up to levels of the field and catching linebackers and their spots and that kind of stuff for your running back to be able to work up to a second level and gain yards past the line of scrimmage. Now, Jam Miller don't seem to want to run the ball that way. So the linemen are so big, man. I said this a month ago, like, why could Bama not run the ball? So the linemen's too fat. They can't move. So that's the style of play that Grubb and DeBoer like to how they run the ball because they had a 1,000-yard rusher at Washington, before they left out there. So you're thinking, well, why can't they just go in there and run the ball how we've always known Alabama to be able to run the ball? You just have road graders. You just have guys that can push other people around and push them up the field. I don't know why it would be such a problem on a run play to have your offensive line coach to scheme to be able to run the ball that way, and on pass plays to be able to scheme to pass block the way that Grubb and DeBoer always have. And it's kind of like you'd have two different things going on, but it takes sacrifice from everybody, and somebody's got to figure out how to run the freaking football. Because this team, I think they can sneak by again Saturday because Ty is just a better quarterback than Mateer. Mateer's a little sporadic. He'll turn the ball over, and I think that's probably what will cost them the game Saturday. I think Bama's pressure can create turnovers for Mateer, whereas Ty's pressures that he's going to get Saturday, and when he's getting up off the ground, I think he gets rid of the ball better. And I think that'll be the difference. Now, I've seen Blaylock run the ball for them in a couple of games, and he runs the ball well. I think Bama has a better running back room. But because of that style that I just mentioned of how they like to play pin and pull style, is what they call it, offensive line, the way they like to move guards and play the run game out of the sets of offense that Grubb and DeBoer play in their style of football, it's just not – I mean, you could say whatever, but because the run game was not at Alabama before DeBoer and Grubb got there. I remember us griping about it when Saban was there. Alabama's leading receiver was their freaking tailback. It was Gibbs, the kid that come from Georgia Tech. You remember that? And after winning it in like 20 and then 21, not a lot of teams are really running the ball anyway. It's the style of football that we're just headed to, just in general, to score points, a lot of points quickly and winning games, the explosive play game. And that is what seems to be paying the bills right now. Because when you see games that are lower scoring, like, Bama and LSU game, or we go back to even the Auburn game, like when they played A&M or something, more of a kind of a defensive game where both teams' defenses are just, getting after the quarterback so much that it's not allowing time for those explosive plays to happen at the field. Now, that leads me to the last part about the Alabama-Oklahoma matchup. If Oklahoma's just going to, pin their ear back and both of them back and just stay on tie all day, can they still, win this game without, having big plays up the field? Because those explosive plays up the field for 25 or more, Ty's been 2 for 14. Why? Because he's getting run out of the pocket some. He stands in the pocket most of the time and delivers the ball, and he has missed some passes up the field. Like I said, he's 2 for 14. 2 for 14. That's not good at all. That's terrible. But Bama's defense is able to get after most of the teams that they're going to play. And their quarterback is not going to be having explosive plays up the field. Because I just think that the opportunity is going to be more presentable for Bama to make some of those plays than it will be for Oklahoma. Not a lot different. And I don't mean a lot by like 5 or 6 big plays up the field. But enough to get the job done, because I just trust Ty's throwing ability more than I do Mateer. That's just kind of how I've decided to pick a winner for that game. Now, how does Bama's defense get after him and make a big difference? Alabama offense rushing 120. I knew they're in the hundreds. I thought it was like 105. It's 120. They rush for 112 yards a game. Now, defense, they're 54 rushing, they're top 10, and overall passing, scoring, whatever, all that stuff. Oklahoma offense, they're 95th in rushing. So between 95 to 110, it's 137 to 112. It's 20 yards a game difference, basically. It's not a lot of difference. But that's why I don't think it's going to matter, just because Oklahoma's got their top 4 in rushing defense. Well, Alabama's rushing defense is, 54th. They've given up more rushing on the ground. But I think that's why stat people, the people that pick this game that are just straight up like never done it at all or don't even understand the game really of how matchups work. They just pick games basically off statistics. It's that because it's You can't just go by those numbers. Why does it seem that Bama's rush defense is not as good as Oklahoma's, but overall, their defenses are both top 5 in the conference, top 4. Because who has Oklahoma played? Georgia's probably the better rushing team in the SEC. Okay. And Oklahoma hadn't played them. Total defense, 7 for Oklahoma. Bama's 18. Now, let's see here. Scoring offense, Tennessee's 3. That gives a good testament for information to show who these teams have played, Alabama and Oklahoma. And they have both played Tennessee. So, what then? Well, we know, pretty good of what I know more closer to what Alabama and Tennessee did because I watched the game. And I watched the Oklahoma and Tennessee game, but more towards the end of the game. And it seems that basically just to start the game off and where Oklahoma was, those couple of field goals there in the, I guess, second quarter, that's pretty much what won the game. So, and that turnover, remember that Aguilar had, he gets kind of blindside popped and turns the ball over, and OU picks it up and scores. Scoring points off turnovers is big. But if you watch the game and Tennessee, takes the ball pretty much and goes down the field. We're talking about Tennessee and Oklahoma to give you an idea about the Bama game. OU's secondary is not real good. And this was their best test. That was probably really honestly their best test. Because to open the game off, Tennessee had, they go down the field and score, and then Indiana they go 3 and out. Like they punted the ball, and Tennessee is passed for 100 yards. There's like 8 or 9 minutes left in the first quarter. Then Tennessee fumbles it, gets stripped, gets hit from the back, and OU takes the ball up and scores, make it, ties the game, and hits, later after halftime before Tennessee goes down and scores. Was it 16-10? So it's a 1-point ball game with 2 minutes left in the third quarter before OU goes in and scores. I think their lack of run game, Robinson, that's their good tailback. I think their lack of run game is going to hurt them a little more, and here's why. That whole thing with the DBs that I told you about OU and how many points they give up, their overall defense is ranked better, and that's because they don't give up many yards rushing. But here's another little tidbit for you, Jeff. Think about this. If a team rushes for, say comes out and rushes for, 20 yards and has 2 plays for 10 yards, that's 20 yards. But they throw the ball, the other team throws the ball, then you could say, well, they got the best defense in the world. They only give up 20 yards rushing. So let's go back and look again at Oklahoma's defense. Their passing defense, they give up about 182 a game, which is not terrible. But if you can put those 182 yards between the 20s and get to the red zone, then you just score the ball from the 20 or the 10, and teams can run it enough. It don't matter. It seems like their rush defense. I'm not saying their defense is not good. What I'm saying is there's situations in these games that can fool these numbers people sometimes. That just look at numbers. So if they're down there in the end zone, in the red zone, if they're in the red zone, good God, man. If they're in the red zone there and they only run it in the red zone, 20-yard line, they throw it for 10 and they run it for 10. Well, looks like red zone defense is good because if they do that 3 times a night, that's 30 yards in the red zone. Rushing, that's great. It's going to make your rushing defense looks like it's good. You see what I'm saying? It seems to me that Oklahoma is getting these pass plays in the heart of the field. But when people are getting down there close, not always. This is not in every game. Just in the ones I've watched and how I've seen them. People are running the ball a time or two and then throw it in, or they get down within the 5 or so, and then they're throwing it in. Their corners are not real great. So that's the other nod that I give Bama too, because I think Bama's DBs are look, guys, they are tearing the ball. They're really pulling the ball away from people. They're one of the better teams in the nation in turnovers. And golly, this phone is driving me nuts. In defensive turnovers, I got to put it on silent. That will be the difference in the game. That's kind of what we can leave it at. Alabama getting turnovers, and Ty's ability to be more fluid with the football than Mateer. I think that gives Bama the edge in this game. And by the teams that Bama has played, that seems like it. That, they've just had more of a test to play, better teams. And we can compare the 2 games that I've really looked at close with South Carolina and Tennessee, because Bama and OU shared those 2 games. So to base a pick off of that, and when I think how Ty to be throw the ball better and how Bama's DBs to be able to take the ball away more effectively on defense, the South Carolina game was pretty close in how the game kind of went for South Carolina and Bama both. They kind of mirrored each other in a lot of ways. OU has got a lot of sacks, but Bama got after Sellers too in the South Carolina game. But how they finished the game, how Oklahoma finished the game against South Carolina, because it was 26-7 was the final, was really better than how Bama finished the game. So South Carolina SC scored before half. But SC's, DBs and stuff they're not real good. I mean, SC come out and turn the ball over on downs and punted, and, first 3 times. And it's later in the second quarter, they go on a, 50-play drive to score. They don't score again, but what you need to remember, before, because Mateer, I'm pretty sure he threw a pick in that game. No, he didn't. It was the South Carolina's other quarterback. I remember the ball, there being a turnover. So this game is, 14-7 was my point. Going into the third quarter, it's 14-7. We're playing a ball game. It didn't happen until the game didn't get away from them until South Carolina turned the ball over. OU scores on it, 5-play drive, and about 2 minutes left. And that was, kind of the tell of tape. OU gets in there because SC had held them. Guys, that's why those stats and the things that you look at for some people, they go, I look at the stats of the game. Again, that's why you can't do that. You really have to see the game and know kind of how the game played out. Because it's 26-7. But did you watch the game? Because I did. And OU struggled and struggled and struggled. And it's way on in after halftime. It's a 14-7 game. Oklahoma just, and I know Bama didn't play them, like just pound on them and beat them 50-0 because SC, scored on Bama. We know that. But 26-7 was the final there, and going towards the last quarter of the game, it's 14-7. It is. It was 14-7. Now, on the Alabama side of it, they had a little bit more success with them. South Carolina had a little more success with Alabama because they had a good game plan, and the same way as SC's defensive front, that Stewart guy got after them, the same thing happened that happened to Bama. The same thing happened to Oklahoma. It was 29-22, but in looking at like time of the game, sort of, about the same time of the game, it's 14-6. Bama's up. It's the same score nearly. That's why when I started telling you about Tennessee, but then I went to South Carolina, I said, these games kind of mirrored each other. And that's why. Late in the third quarter, it's 14-7. OU is up 14-7. Over here, Bama's up 14-6. And that's just, again, that Bama secondary kept after them and kept after them. South Carolina only had 2 field goals in the whole first half. They kept them in the game. Guys, going to the fourth quarter, it's 14-15. South Carolina was leading the game. They got down there and kicked that field goal, right? So, stat-wise, Sellers had 222 against them. And Ty throwed for 250 yards. Okay. So how did OU, how did Sellers do against their defense? Well, you may be kind of surprised. Because if Ty Simpson, I just told you, he threw for 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. Well, what did Mateer do? He threw for 150 yards. What? Against South Carolina? Yeah. And they threw for 170 against them. So team stat-wise, that front of South Carolina, that front defensive line, they do get after it and they do play tough. And they got some guys out there that can really play. South Carolina has 224 total yards against OU. 224, which is really good. And we've said that OU's got a good defense. But I'm not sure about their secondary. They just give up way too many points. And I just can't make a good evaluation and honestly say that Brooks and Horton and Williams and definitely Jeremy Bernard, that they're 330 yards for South Carolina. I'm talking about basically 100 yards difference, which is not a whole bunch, but it's enough. But they got that little bit more because they rushed the ball a little better. South Carolina did against Alabama. OU held the run down a little bit more. But Sellers is the one that kind of run the ball a little bit against Bama because he rushed for about 70 yards. And that's about the difference in the rushing amounts per South Carolina, Bama, and Oklahoma and Bama was the rushing yards by Sellers. So that style of play and trying to corral him in the backfield, Oklahoma did seem to do a little bit better job on it. So give me Bama for tie, and I like them also on that pickup because of Bama's DBs. I think the game will be in the 20s. I don't see neither one of them scoring in the 30s. And that's just that's what it is, and that's kind of where I think it's going to be. So, all right, let's see if we can find this here. See if I can find the old Burge. What is going on with this? Bear with me here. I'm trying to see if Benton and we usually get on together about this time. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Oh, for Pete's sake. Okay, college football, yes, is on. Let me see if I can add this without the sound. I know I can. Okay. Sorry about that. Trying to figure out. Yeah, I'm looking. Let's see. Trying to find it on here if I can pull it up somehow. Yeah, we're trying to. Okay, yeah. 12 team participating teams, the five highest ranked conference champions plus next five highest level four highest ranked teams will be seeded number 1 through 4. 8 teams seeded number 5 through 12 will play in first round with higher seeds hosting home games. Yeah, we got all that. Okay, we got 20 Tennessee at 23, Cincinnati dropping all the way down to 25. But now, we talked about open the show. We talked about this Pitt team. They have the opportunity in front of them to be able to move up. To have that chance to do that. If they can beat Notre Dame, and can they beat Notre Dame? Jeff, can they beat Notre Dame? I think they can. I just do. St. Louis fell 5 places. Virginia fell a lot. See, they keep moving Michigan up, man. That's a good point there now with USC. They've got them jumping 2 places too. Um, who's USC have left? I mean, their schedule's not. It's not real bad. They got Iowa left. Ooh, that's a tough one. But they got Iowa, but they got them at home. Hmm. Yes, they favored by 6.5. Okay. Let's carry on here. See, Miami still, we talked about that at the start of the show too. They have every opportunity in the world to, to jump up there. See, Vanderbilt, they're close, but I don't know if Vandy's got enough meat. I don't know if Vandy's got enough, meat left on the bone for them to be able to do anything. And like BYU, they got TCU left, and they're, yeah, they just don't have enough left to. Okay, let's back that up a little bit. Okay, you got Oklahoma at 11, and BYU was talking about BYU there. They don't. Can they make it in? Is there? I mean, they're second in the conference over there, in the Big 12. They're right there with Texas Tech, and they've already lost that game. Cincinnati is there hanging around, but BYU, who do they have left? TCU this weekend, unranked. I guess who they got the next week, and they got Cincinnati. So I don't know if are they going to let in two Big 12 teams. BYU would have to. They would have to beat TCU and go to Cincinnati, win that game to knock off their number 3. Houston's at 4 over there, and then they have UCF last, which UCF is like 1-5 in the conference. So, but when their championship game, if Texas Tech, what if they beat Tech then? That could be a mess. Hold on. Jeff, look at there. If Tech, if Tech wins out, which I don't know, they may not even beat Cincinnati. But if they do, we're talking about BYU here, and I'm just looking at them on the screen here because these last little teams here are some of the ones that are really going to start jockeying for position to, to see if they can get in or not. They'd have to win out, but they're going to get Texas Tech again. If they win out and Tech wins out, they'll play each other again for the Big 12. Well, then it'd be head to head. Well, then what if they beat Tech? Well, then that's both going to put them at, that'd put them both at 10-2. But, well, it would be what it would be. Okay. Let's skip along here a little bit and look at the top 6. Texas Tech at 6, Ole Miss at 7, Oregon at 8, Notre Dame 9, and Texas at 10. So that win give Texas a little bit of bump. They just love Notre Dame, man. So if BYU sitting where they are could, beat maybe Texas Tech, if they keep winning, they'll be. I don't see them probably moving up anymore. So, the Ole Miss, coming down a spot, for playing Citadel. So let's see who the top 5 is. Yeah, BYU, you probably have to beat them in the game. They're going to keep Indiana too, and I guess it really don't matter. There's no use for anybody crying over none of this because 1's going to play 2 and 3's going to play 4. And Georgia's just sitting outside waiting on, like, hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and win the rest of my games. And it looks like Georgia and Ole Miss are just going to hang out, and they're going to get to play the first round, and they're going to be higher ranked, so they're probably going to get a home game. So so 5 would play South Florida. So Georgia gets South Florida. The first team's out, so we already know this. And we started up early when we started talking about Oklahoma and Bama that sorry, I'm getting something here about a head coach thing here. Sorry. So yeah, it seems like would that be is that going to be a possibility for them? And say 6 would play. So it looks like Tech and Miami and Notre Dame and Ole Miss. No. Georgia, South Florida, Oregon, Miami. Georgia, South Florida, Tech, Miami, Ole Miss, Texas, Oregon, Notre Dame. Yeah. What do we think about that? Texas Tech and Miami. Texas Tech and Miami. Texas Tech and Miami. Texas and Ole Miss. So you're still going that. Of course, these are going to move around again. But what we talked about when we come in, we broke down Alabama defense, Oklahoma defense, Alabama offense, Oklahoma offense, where we like it, where we all split on the ideas of how the winner of the team would win. And of course, this is for the playoffs. Bama could lose this game, and win out and be okay, still play for the SEC, and still get in. Oklahoma loses, they're out. Yeah, they lose, they're out. Why? Why did everybody forget that? Crap. Everybody forgot that Ole Miss hung 34 on Oklahoma. And Mateer threw for 220 yards, and they rushed for over 100. But Shamlis lit Oklahoma's head on fire. He threw for over 300 yards. I mean, they didn't rush the ball, but for 100, 120, which is still pretty good. I don't know. I'm talking about Oklahoma again because of where they're at in this playoff seed. They're right outside here. Oklahoma's right outside there looking in. This is, these teams here you got to remember, this is 11 and 12. These are the last two. Somebody's not going to make it. So again, if what's up, Mark? Do I think Alabama gets in Saturday if they lose? Okay. Do you think Bama makes it in if they lose Saturday and lose? No. That's a good question. I'll tell you what. Mark asked, he says, do you think that Bama makes it in if they lose Saturday, Oklahoma, which will be breaking that down, and lose the SEC championship game? Granted, that he don't think that they lose Saturday. Yes, I got the only way. I was trying to find Burns, and I can't. I don't know. He may be work. He's got family and stuff, but the only way Bama would make it in if they lose Saturday and lose to more than likely go and play A&M for the SEC championship game, Mark. You know what would have to happen? Georgia would have to lose to Georgia Tech. And that don't seem too crazy, does it, Mark? Not really. I mean, this year, Georgia's been able to run the ball better here later in the season, but their schedule ain't been as tough as it was here lately as it had been, neither. Could Georgia wrangle Georgia Tech and keep that offense in check? Yeah, but if they got 3 losses, they ain't, Jeff. That'd be 2 conference losses. Yep, yeah, exactly. So Tech could beat them if they Georgia eliminate those explosive plays. And Georgia can hit some of those explosive plays. They can. But, Jeff, look, hey, yeah, their strength of schedule is great. But if you don't win the game, strength of schedule means nothing. If they drop to Oklahoma, go beat Eastern Illinois, they beat Auburn, go to the SEC title game, Atlanta, and lose to A&M, that'd be a loss to Florida State, a loss to Oklahoma. That's the conference game. And then another loss to another conference game. So that puts them with 2 conference losses. There's no way that'd be 3 lots. That would make room for like what we're looking at here on the screen, some of these other teams here. Look, man, what if Vandy beats Tennessee They get here and win out. Oklahoma will be out. Well, how would they be out? They could still make it in, but Oklahoma will have to beat Bama. What if Oklahoma beats Bama and then of course Bama, if they won the SEC, then Bama's going to get in anyway. You'd have Bama and Oklahoma in, but would they knock A&M out? Guys, think about this. Would they take A&M out? Just think about that. Think about that for a second. If that's how that turns out. If if Bama loses Saturday, I give them 2 losses. That would put Oklahoma they'd be tied with Bama with 2 losses, but they would still be ahead in the conference because there'd only be 1 conference loss for Bama, so they would still play for it. Yep. But then they beat A&M. But that'd be 1 loss for A&M that conference game, so they're going to put them in. Because they got them at 3. So if 4 beats 3, then A&M's going to get in. So what I'm saying is Oklahoma could win Saturday. I don't know, y'all. Y'all help me out on that. The perspective was this. Here was the perspective. The perspective was if Oklahoma wins Saturday, then they're in. But not necessarily. Bama would still have to lose again. Oklahoma just winning, because if Bama went on to beat Auburn and then won the SEC, they would have 1 conference loss. But they're not going to put in a 2-loss Oklahoma over a 1-loss conference runner-up in A&M. How about that? Georgia Ole Miss really in the – yeah, sure. If it holds out as they get in, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, look at this. Let me get it up here. Mark, what's it there? Yeah. Yeah, look at Georgia sitting there, Mark. Let me put it back up on the screen. Yeah, take a look at that. What's Georgia got to do? Huh? Just sit there and watch everybody beat each other to death. We just had it on this one here. Let's look at that. Ole Miss sitting over here at 7. I think we'll just host a playoff game and make a bunch of money here, and town get flooded with restaurants and hotel fees, and that'll work out pretty good for us. Georgia, come in over here. Yeah, I think we'll just also host a team here in Georgia. Well, I think we're going to even not only that, but how about we just play old poo-poo? How about we just play old poo-poo over here? Yeah. Yep, Georgia's going to play South Florida. And Ole Miss is going to play Notre Dame at home. No, Texas at home. Sorry. Oregon will host Notre Dame. Notre Dame would have to go to. Yeah, so, it's Notre Dame. We got the whole, list up there. Notre Dame would have to go to. Now, they're the higher ranked. So, Oregon hosts, Georgia hosts, Texas Tech hosts Miami, Ole Miss hosts Texas. So, Ole Miss and Texas. What do we think about that? Sark and Kiffin. That's pretty cool. Now, Oklahoma's supposed to be, the cat's meow. They're supposed to be like, a top defense. Right up there with Ohio State compared by, watching film on them and seeing how their D-line plays and how they switch and stunt and gimmick and how it all works out. Ole Miss beat them. And I don't know if Bama gets to 34 because Ole Miss seems they run the ball pretty good against Oklahoma. So what I'm getting at is here we're trying to think about how does Ole Miss and Texas match up. I'm just telling you, you put that game in on put that game in on Massey. I would bet you they pick. I bet Massey would take Ole Miss by 6.5. Now, we're just going through the playoffs here now. Miami, Texas Tech. I don't really trust Miami very much. I don't trust Miami, so that would have to be gosh, I don't know. I mean, Texas Tech just they're that good. I don't think so, man. I watched them play Saturday. I mean, they don't nothing really blow me away about them. The quarterback play, he's okay. I mean, but how do they run the ball and I mean, it's 29-7. BYU played terrible. That poor little quarterback. He just. But Texas Tech. See, their schedule's not real great. I mean, they got a 4 or 5 UCF this weekend, but Morton kids passed for 2,000 yards. Defensively, it shows to have good numbers, but that's what I'm saying. Who they played. Who they really played. So we're trying to figure out here, we're looking at this lineup here on the screen. I'm sorry. Tech could have a good opportunity to beat. I don't know, man. You want to think the ACC is probably a little bit better, but Miami's just kind of hanging around there. They got other teams, just Virginia, and they lose, and freaking Louisville and Cincinnati. I mean, Louisville, loses, and That's two conferences. They're going to wind up getting in, like we're seeing here, kind of like one team. The SEC is going to get in some more teams here, so I don't know. It'd be at Texas Tech because they're ranked higher. I just can't. I just watched them play the other day, and I think Miami's got too many playmakers. I think Miami could beat Texas Tech. I think talent-wise, Miami could out-athlete them. Now, this is probably not. Well, it's not probably. It's pretty sure this is not. I know it's not going to stay this way 1 through 4 because we all know that those four are going to play each other. Oregon, Notre Dame. What do y'all think? It would be at Notre Dame. Think about this. Well, if it's a night game, they may not play well out there in the cool deserts of Lubbock. Right. Yep. You're right, Mark. Yeah. A&M still has to play Texas. And that's why I'm saying this is not we're really just talking about some of these games just because we like football. We just want to have fun and take a look at some of this, because, Texas, A&M and Tech still have to, A&M and Texas still have to, they're still going to play. But interesting wise, I think it would be pretty cool to see Notre Dame go to Oregon. That's a good question. That's a good man. What do y'all think? Comments are over here. Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up on the video. Like if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Sure would appreciate it, man. We're looking at the playoff right now. What we had come on tonight just went off. Kind of get an idea of who we like, and some of these matchups for right now look pretty good. Georgia, I think South Florida will play with them for a quarter. I think they got some pretty tough guys. I think they can hang in there and play with them for a little while. But boy, it would look good on the resume for him, Gulich. And just if he went to Georgia and say, let's just say Georgia beat them 31-26 or, something like that. Crap. I think that'd be a pretty good resume. Wouldn't y'all think that? What's going on, Zachary? Looking at the bracket here. Some matchups for tonight's show that could come on, and we talk about Bama and Oklahoma and the matchup there and kind of who I like there. Of course, I like Bama to win that one. I like Bama's DBs, and I trust Ty more than Mateer. And the way Tennessee and Ole Miss scored on Oklahoma, I think Ty's as good or better than them quarterbacks. So I think Bama's stingy defense takes the ball away from Oklahoma at least a trip down the field. And that can kind of get things in there. And I also broke down Bama's run game. Alabama running the ball is just absolutely pathetic. And it's not been real good because of the linemen are just too big. And this style of offense that Grubb and DeBoer like to play, usually like a more power game, you like to say like a 12-man personnel. They were like 2 tight end sets. And they don't kind of play that personnel. They spread it out a little bit more, and they got guys coming in motion, that kind of stuff. So it's going to work out because the linemen that they're recruiting for Bama, for them, it's going to be more for their style of run fit. So I think Bama's not be able to run the ball. I just don't. The linemen are just not getting to their position. They're just not hitting their keys. They're not making their marks. And they're more of a road grader style size-wise to push men up the field. Bama, we're talking about Bama's offensive line and how they, run the ball. That's that style of run where DeBoer's and Grubb's offense, their run style plays more of a like a pin style of and pinch, to where linemen pinch, and play combos, and they come off and they pin and rotate to let guys on defense over assert themselves to get too far up the field, and they run in behind. The lineman is getting up the field, that kind of stuff. So Bama running the ball is not just going to go, holy crap, wow, they just started running the ball tonight. And lastly about that, Bama just didn't stop running the ball when DeBoer come. Gibbs, remember him from Georgia Tech? Yeah. He was a huge problem because he was leading the team in receiving. Gibbs, the kid to come from Georgia Tech, it was a big problem, man. It was a big problem for Alabama not being able to run the ball. So it's not like this is something new. This is not something that just has popped up all of a sudden. Alabama not being able to run the ball. It's been going on. It was going on when Saban was there, because we just ain't had the guys. Change offensive line coach. You can do those kind of things. I think the backs that they have, everybody likes Hill. He's a heavier guy. Runs hard downhill, stays behind his pads. But Jam seems to be a little impatient. When like you can watch, you can see the difference when Hill gets the ball. Zach, he gets the ball, and it's ball, and he's headed to the hole. Once he takes the ball and he's headed down, he's coming downhill, he's finding his place. And you can watch Jam. He'll make a few steps, and then he's already patterned his feet to find a place to go. Like he's not trusting what he's seeing from his linemen, and it's kind of like, well, we don't blame him. I mean, they hadn't blocked well. His explosiveness, as soon as he's getting the ball, is just not there, and it's causing a lot of problems for Alabama, because it allows defenses to just lay their ears back and just go after Ty, because they're just thinking, well, Bama, he can't throw it deep. He's 2 for 14 on 25 yard passes up the field or more. They don't run the ball well. We'll just cover the middle of the field right here and play a little zone and just kind of sit down here, let it play forward line. We'll rush 4, set 2 back, and then we'll just play our safety and corners, just play a flat zone and rotate it in and out of that flat, whether we have the guys bail out and play man, or there are 2 other middle guys bail and play zone. And I don't really know what I'm doing, how to set up no kind of defense, and I know that. What do you think Venom is going to do Saturday? It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be Bama's going to have their hands full. I believe they can win. It'll be a great test for Grubb. And yes, he said they already changed their signs. So, Ole Miss, Ole Miss beat them, and Texas beat them, but that was without their quarterback pretty much. So I think they can take care of business. Mark says he don't think that the lack of the run game catches up to Bama until they meet someone like Ohio State, who has the backs that can catch up with the receivers. Well, yeah, I'll go along with that mostly. And that's the difference. Because overall defense, OU's pretty good. They're up there in the top. You can look it up. Like rush defense, they're top 5. Overall defense, they're top 10. What else what else can you expect from them? So who else is Bama going to see that's going to be that caliber of defense? It's going to be Ohio State. So this will be a good test for DeBoer and Grubb to find ways to get their guys open. And not being able to run the ball, that's going to cause them the game, like Mark said, against an Ohio State, because the defense they'll just go after Ty. And if you can bait and switch him, and you can roll everybody up on the line, how Auburn does, Mark. I like the way Durkin, he'll roll everybody up on the line, and you'll see guys bail or stay and stunt and blitz. It could cause Ty to some of those quick little sprays. They like to spray the ball out on like a little screen or something. Make you make a bad decision, but Ty's decision-making capabilities are high level. Ty's a real thinker. He identifies and understands each receiver's goal, their target, and what they're seeing, what the receivers are seeing, because he can see where they're running into, or they can't even see that. And I think Bama receivers run good routes. That'll help them with this game against Oklahoma, because their DBs are just not. If they had one Hubbard, like a Bray Hubbard back there at Oklahoma, that could be a huge difference for them. I think that would be somebody that can, take the ball away. They are good up front, and we've seen Bama and OU both play South Carolina, and you can, compile evidence from those games, and we've seen Bama and OU play Tennessee and how they, you can take the evidence from both those games. That's what we did a while ago. We just kind of broke it down and, went side by side. But there's still elements in, like the SC, when they both played South Carolina. Heck, man, this third quarter, it's a touchdown game. I mean, neither one of them, pulled away from the other till later. Now, OU held South Carolina less because Sellers didn't run for as much. Sellers got loose a little bit more against Bama. That was the difference in about, 70 yards rushing on the day for overall team stats. But what gives you a little bit better is Ole Miss beating them. But Grubb's play calling is, I think he's done a good job. Now, last week, this LSU game, I don't want to say something like, Grubb's just not showing his hand. He's just not showing his hand because he don't want Venables to, get more plays on film or whatever. There's so much film out there. I don't think those days, what I'm saying is I don't think that exists anymore. Like, well, we're not going to run a bunch of plays this week because then they'll know, you won't be running more plays, but it ain't like he don't already have all your plays from all the games you've already played. And Venables can see it, and if he can see it and attack it, he'll figure it out. And he's going to be a hard one to tips. He knew how Milroe stood last year if he was throwing the ball, running the ball. So, to pick a game again, how do you pick this Bama-Oklahoma game? I like Bama's defense being able to take the ball away, Mark. That's kind of the thing that kind of balances it for me. I think their defense can take the ball away from Oklahoma a little better. I just don't trust Mateer as much. I think he's okay, but I just don't think it's that big of a difference between how Ole Miss could beat them or how Texas put it on them. But that's hard to. It's not fair to Oklahoma to judge them off the Texas game because of their quarterback situation, and so I'm kind of like I'm not going to, punish Bama for, the FSU loss because Type had he played a good game. The defense just give up too much. They looked out of sorts because they had Womack had no film on FSU because they just hired Gus this summer. Now you could guess how Gus was going to play, and it's kind of the same way he still kind of plays that he's always has. But they're still the number one offense they're still whacking up, offense, ratings. Now I know they're not winning games, but offensively they're still clicking right along. So let's look at this one more time. Look at the bracket here. Some of these matchups. And again, you got to kind of think, two of these teams over here in this right side, Bama or A&M is coming out of the 4. Indiana and Ohio State is coming out of the 4. Personally, I think, which I've thought this since I've seen A&M play Auburn, I think A&M is fake news. I don't think they've really played much nobody. They've, had one real ranked win. I think Bama's played a little tougher schedule. I think they've seen more. I like them to win that one. And Ohio State to win also. So A&M and Indiana would come out. So that would bump Bama to 2. And are they going to put A&M 3 and Indiana 4? Because obviously they said that strength of schedule was going to make some type of, appearance in their qualifying. Obviously not, because Indiana's strength of schedule was 55 the last time I looked. And they're going to have one loss with a 55th ranked schedule. And I just don't like that because it just entices a team like Notre Dame to schedule 2 good games and play 10 crap teams, lose the 2 hard teams that you schedule, and you're in. They're ranked 9. They're in. They get an opportunity to go play. The player's not hurt because they're not played anybody. They're not played anybody of no strength or anybody that can really press them. Players can get hurt against. 7A players could get hurt playing the game versus a 1A team. But you know what I mean. So this would probably turn out to be what I'm saying is, are these 4 going to be in no matter what, just in a different order? That's what I'm saying. What do y'all think? Yeah, they can just schedule crap teams and, schedule 10 crap games and 2 tough ones to make it. Well, we're going to play a hard schedule this year. Well, you lost the 2 tough games that you scheduled. I don't. They lost to A&M. Does anybody else on this page think that A&M's really good? Just tell me. You could say yes. I think there should be 2. But they played. It's got to be. It's just got to be worth something. I'm trying to pull their schedule up here and talking about Texas A&M. They got South Carolina this weekend. Now, by God, I'm going to tell you what now. This is going to fire me up. If Texas A&M and South Carolina play this weekend, and Reed's going to have to, what if the game turns out like Indiana and Penn State? That Reed has to drive down the field with 1:40 left to beat a 3-6, man. That's not real like a Heisman. They're giving this freaking Indiana quarterback they're giving him the Heisman because he beat a 3-win Penn State team. He drove down the field with a minute. So what? If you're him, if you're a Heisman, which nobody's talking about Reed being a Heisman guy, but, Mendoza's supposed to be him. You should have been up 3 touchdowns. The game shouldn't have been that close. Well, Matt, you talking about Ty Simpson being a Heisman finalist too. Why he looked, played Florida. He lost to Florida. Yeah, but how did he play against Florida State? Well, he couldn't even win the game against them. Yeah, because the defense didn't play good. Indiana had to stop Penn State. Some spotty, shoddy, terrible offensive line. It's not been good. That was kind of some of the problem last year somewhat. They ran the ball well. Quarterback could manage the game. And they had a receiver, and that's about it. Well, they lost some of those guys. They win 3 games this year, and now we're going to pet Indiana because they beat a 3-win Penn State team. So keep that same energy, media clowns, if A&M has a, drive at the end of the game to have to beat South Carolina. Oh, that's embarrassing. I mean, it's just a crappy SEC team. South Carolina won. Let me ask you this. South Carolina, Penn State. Type it in on Massey. See who he likes to win that game. But here's the thing with A&M. And I was taking up for him right there. But how good's Notre Dame? Really? How good's Notre Dame? So with A&M, look at their schedule, where they're at. They scored 31 on Mississippi State, 34 on Florida. They beat Arkansas 45-42. They give up 42 to Arkansas. They beat LSU 49-25, and they beat Missouri pretty well, 38-17, with their third-string quarterback. Now, I watched the LSU game and A&M. LSU quit. They quit. That last, let me see, probably 2 touchdowns I know, maybe 3 touchdowns for sure. LSU didn't. They just laid down. That's the game that, that's the game. Talking about Coach Kelly out there lost his job at LSU. That's why. It's because of that game. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see that. I mean, who would the computer like to match up South Carolina, Penn State? You think all 4 of the top teams that are in? Okay. Yeah, so, how is the so we're talking about this, kind of how are they going to – are they just going to rearrange the top 4? Like, I think Bama and Ohio State win their games. I think that Bama beats A&M, and I think Ohio State beats Indiana. So it's just going to be Ohio State, Bama, A&M, Indiana. And all that's going to change would be the 3 and 4. So want to play. I thought Miami go on the road and win at Texas Tech, which some of these are going to still change too. Because A&M's got Texas still, and if A&M beats Texas, Texas won't be 10. And A&M's not going to move any higher. But if Texas upsets A&M, Katie bar the door. That'll put Texas probably at – they'll probably swap with they'll probably jump them to at least 2 spots. They'd have to put them at 8. I nearly bet they would. Remember, that game's still got to go on. I know Florida State's playing like crap. I know. But we're just looking at the bracket over there. Miami's got North Carolina State this weekend. It is at home. But and Miami's already beat Florida State. This one team, there's just one team out there hanging around, guys. Pitt could make a big mess of all that. They got Notre Dame this weekend. They could win that game, and Pitt plays, I think Miami, last. And Miami's at Pitt. Computer likes Miami to win the game. That's fine. They could be 9-2 at that time. That's very likely. Pitt's third over there in the ACC. Yeah, Holston hadn't played in a couple of weeks, so this Henschel kid is their quarterback. They got a 400-yard rusher with the Turner kid at Pitt. This is some things that's why you got to hit the subscribe button. Make sure you've already hit the thumbs up on the video. Just hit the little thumb. If you're watching on YouTube on your phone, it's up there at the top. Hit the thumbs up there, and we sure would appreciate it. And if you're on YouTube, hit the little blue thumbs up or the hearts. You can give stars on there. It's like 99 cents for like 100 stars or something. I appreciate that. It helps keep the show free of ads and type stuff. Mark says Pitt could very likely take Notre Dame. I know. I'm just saying that. And listen, somebody else may talk about it during the week, and I'm sure y'all watch other shows, and you can be honest and say you've heard other people talk about this topic. I don't hear maybe that's why I don't make millions of dollars doing this. I bring up stuff that these other shows are not bringing up. I don't know nobody saying, hey, you know what? Pitt can make a big mess of this and beat Notre Dame and Miami. And this bracket that we're all looking at over here, it could be a huge mess. I don't think South Florida's probably going to have any more trouble. I like Georgia to stay in this. Oregon's probably going to be in. Georgia, Oregon, Ole Miss, I think they're probably going to be locked to be in. But, we did say Texas A&M, right? They're still going to play. What if Texas beats A&M? That's why I brought that up a while ago. That's why I was talking about who has Texas A&M played. Who have they played? Are y'all sure? I mean, they do got to play against last game of the year. It's at Texas. They play at a night. It is a night game on ABC. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. These are the type of things that sports shows would be breaking down and talking about here, Locker Room Sports. That's when you come by and hang out here. And we're going to break it all down and get to the nitty gritty of it. We're going to find out, these possibilities that can lay out there. These are the things that makes fun talking about football. I mean, the games this weekend, yes, we did go over those games, but there's some scenarios because we're looking at that bracket over here because some of these teams like, Ole Miss and probably Texas Tech and Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, A&M loses to Texas and then goes to SEC title game and loses to Bama. That's 2 losses. Where are you going to put them? What if Bama loses to Oklahoma, then goes wins the SEC? Then they got 2 losses. What I'm saying is, guys, look, I'm trying to make sure I get on the camera there for both of them. This game, and what we're looking at right now is not over. So if you got a team up there on the screen, any of these teams from Georgia or Miami, Texas Ole Miss, you're an A&M fan or Bama fan or whatever, this thing is – there's still things left to happen. Some of these teams are going to be in no matter what, sort of, the ones we kind of mentioned there. But where are they going to be placed? Because like we asked a while ago, Mark brought that up too. I think the UCF is a non-Power 5 team. That's what kind of way it's seen here. That'd be the South Florida. Would be that team. This thing ain't over. And remember, Zach, Texas is back, baby. We back. Yeah. Yeah, y'all. Pitt beats Miami, Notre Dame, and Notre Dame. If Bama loses to Oklahoma and then Auburn, but they'll still be the 2 in the conference, then they go beat A&M and win the SEC. And A&M beats Texas, like we said. Vandy's going to be in there. All right. And lastly on this, watching some other people talk about the Bama-Oklahoma game, it's probably, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this without trying to be conspiracy theory tinfoil guy. It's by popular belief to a couple of other sports media people that I watch, and he covers just particularly the SEC, that Bama losing to Oklahoma is very political and it's already done. Oklahoma's going to win this one again because it gives SEC, but they're going to let Bama win the SEC. It's tinfoil stuff hat. Okay. It's tinfoil stuff hat. It's tinfoil hat stuff. But politics are politics. Money wise, that makes the most sense because then Bama's only got 1 conference loss. They go to play A&M. They go still win. They win the SEC. They got 2 losses, 1 conference loss. They get in, the SEC champ, and they would be the 4. But what are they going to do with A&M for just having that only that one loss because A&M's also going to have a loss, and it's going to be Texas. So they'll have lost to Texas and Bama, 2 conference losses. They'll put them at 5. And then that's going to change the seating of where Georgia and all that stuff's going to be at. Now that's just tinfoil hat stuff. That don't mean it's going to happen, or it don't even mean I believe it. But that's what – that's some of that political side of stuff. See what I'm saying? So, all right, guys. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me tonight. And I do appreciate it. And Jack, hush it. Games for the weekend. We've kind of slipped and slid through them and talked about them when we come in on the first hour. Jack, stop. And I'll ask the same question I ended with, and I don't think it's going to matter. Can Wisconsin beat Indiana? No. I mean, they ain't even got a quarterback. Yep, 4 SEC schools to host in the playoff. Would Bama take an L because Joey the Fish Vegas told him that's how it's going to be? Because it means more money for the conference. I don't really believe that, but I'm just saying, man, look, let me tell you the game that started that of me going, there may be a little bit of, Mark, you know this, the Auburn-Oregon game, Cam was on the 3. You telling me Cam Newton couldn't jump into the end zone and score and, to beat Oregon that night for the national championship? Remember what happened, though? I know the safe was kicked to 3. Cam Newton couldn't score. There's no way. When they was lining up to run that play, I'm like, there's no way. I got Cam Newton. I'm scoring the touchdown. I'm winning the game, putting it away. But old Chisnick handled, it right and kicked and, whatever. So Julian could – that was earlier. Jeff said something about Julian winning the Heisman maybe or something. I don't think so, Jeff. He and him. But that's some tinfoil hat stuff for you. I do like Bama over Oklahoma this weekend. I do like A&M South Carolina. South Carolina may cover. Watch 11 o'clock ABC, Pitt Notre Dame, man. They can be one to keep an eye on. That's probably the Iowa USC is a ranked game. It's one to keep an eye on too. Florida Ole Miss, yeah, probably not much. Lane Kiffin's going to be filling out his resume. I'm hearing everything. Kiffin to Florida is it's kind of a done deal. I'm hearing that a lot. And we're hearing in the news Coach Kelly is going to sue LSU for his money, and he's going to wind up getting $37.5 million or something, or they're going to make a big deal out of it. They better settle out of court because you don't want emails getting thrown up in court cases of him saying some rude stuff because he's kind of a prick. Probably the biggest ranked game of the weekend, Bama, Oklahoma, is Texas and Georgia. It's not getting a lot of talk because I think people just kind of foregone that Georgia's favored by 6.5 to beat Texas because it is at home. But can Arch have a good day? 6:30 ABC. If Arch can have a good day and match Gunner, I think if Texas has a 400-yard offensive day, I think they may be able to win it. Texas, their defensive line, man, they're pretty good up front. If they can make Gunner uncomfortable, Georgia don't have a bunch of dudes at receiver to just go up there and just, murder people. And the last 2 weeks, Georgia's got to play Mississippi State and Florida. They did beat Ole Miss, but Ole Miss has really been their only game in a while. They played Bama and lost 24-21. They kind of went on a poo-poo schedule, but they did beat Ole Miss. So Georgia, this is why I'm saying this. Georgia's really played like one game in the past 5 or 6 weeks. See what I'm saying? Where Texas has played, they played Oklahoma and won, and they played Vandy and won. And Vandy's better than 2 or 3 of those other teams that Georgia's played. So Georgia's at home. Are they going to come out and play guys? Are they going to come out and play like they usually do, slow in that first half? Or I'm just saying, be careful. Y'all watch out this weekend. There's a few good games in there. The Notre Dame Pitt, Texas, Georgia, those could be some games to watch and say, I don't know. A lot of the guys are talking about Georgia and Texas game, just even going, based on who Georgia's played the past month and who Texas played the past month, Georgia ain't played nobody in a month. Could they come in a little sleepy in the eyes and wake up and, Papa, why is Arch Manning thrown for 250 yards in the first half? I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Georgia better be careful. They come out half sleepwalking and get down 14-3. Sark's a good coach. I kind of feel like Georgia would win the game, but Texas is playing for their life. If they want to stay in this, they've got to beat Georgia. And they're going to have A&M too. They're going to have another opportunity to really get into this, man. They're going to have to come out firing, man. Been hearing Kiffin to the New York Giants this week. Believe he stays put. He does. He's got a good job, man. He would be – I agree. He's still. I mean, you go Ole Miss and hang around, win 9 games a year, 10, go to good bowl. You're gonna get in the playoffs. You're gonna get in the playoffs. I would stay too. Yeah, Vegas definitely knows more than we do, man. I don't know if the 10 full hat, but the 10 full hat people are saying that Oklahoma beats Bama. Just saying. All right, love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here tonight. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe channel, share on your page, tell somebody, tell a friend, and y'all have a great day tomorrow. It's going to be warm tomorrow. It's going to warm back up. Get into the weekend. I'll be back on Thursday night. Come back and see me here on Polish Day Podcast. We'll talk about some high school football playoffs for the weekend, where everybody's going, and what everybody's got planned for Friday night, where I'm going to be, and come back and tell us where you're going to be at. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.